Welcome back, guys, to part 2 of Jessica's 350Z. This is Driven by Christ Auto. Last episode, we got a previous customer who had brought a vehicle to us. Her name is Jessica. She's also got a 350Z. And before we went out to lunch, me and Jamie went out to lunch, we ordered all the parts that we need. Hopefully O'Reilly's has got everything to us that we needed, and I didn't forget any parts because I'm really bad about doing it. But I called up my buddy Jose, or Jesus, my little Mexican buddy Jesus. He come over here, and he is extremely good at detailing cars and bringing back, you know, the original paint. That way we didn't have to go through and repaint this car because it costs $1,000 every time we use that paint shop, you know, to repaint a car. So he come on over here and got everything taken care of. Let's take a look at the car. Actually, this thing looks almost brand new, guys. And I called up my son. He come over here. He spot welded a few places that had some rust there, cut it out, and TIG welded it back up for me. And we got some touch-up paint that matches this original orange color that came on the 350Z from Nissan. And he touched it up, and Jesus went ahead and did a blend job on it, so you can't even tell. This thing looks brand new. Now, it still does have the original headlights. We didn't change any of that out. We went ahead and polished them up, though, because you can take some Plast X. It's a polishing compound that you can get from O'Reilly's. It's made for black plastics or clear plastics. Like if you got headlights that have a foggy haze over them, you can use this. It's called Plast X oxidation remover. So we went ahead and Jesus went ahead and polished all of this out, got the brake lights looking good and got the headlights looking good. So now we are going to continue with our engine build. So we got everything tore down. We figured out what had happened with the with the camshaft. So it actually damaged one camshaft and one rocker arm assembly on both banks, your left bank and your right bank. And then I'm assuming maybe metal that got knocked off, you know, tore up this other camshaft. So our metal off the rocker arm assembly tore up that other camshaft. So we had to order some new cams. We was not able to machine this out, but we did do everything that we possibly could do to save Jessica as much money as she could. Because we do want our customers to come back. We want it to be, you know, a little bit of upgrade, a lot of extra work that can be done that don't cost any money. I mean, we already got the car here, take care of the customer. So let's go ahead and get this engine put back together, because she called me up wanting to know if her car was going to be done by this afternoon. I don't think it's going to be done by this afternoon because we got a lot of work ahead of us. So let's go ahead and continue this build, but I could be wrong. So let's see. Go ahead and put everything where. Alright, so we got some fresh camshafts in. This is a brand new one from O'Reilly's. This is going to be a factory cam. We didn't get any Nismo cams and put into it because those things were outrageously expensive, and you know, we still got to make a profit on this. That way we can continue getting cars and, you know, making the business grow. But we're going to do our best to take care of a customer too. But we could not get the Nismo cams. In fact, they didn't even have them in stock anyway. So Import Direct is going to have to hit up their JDM supplier and start getting some more hot cams for these 350Zs. Anyways, now what you would want to do before you put this camshaft in here, you would want to go ahead and take some assembly lube. Lucas, this is another product you can get from O'Reilly Auto Parts. If you are building an engine, it's going to be Lucas Assembly Lube. You would want to put this all over this camshaft, everywhere. except for, you know, maybe in here where you put your bolt in for your cam phaser. You don't want to get it in there. Just where any metal to metal surfaces are going to be, like your cam lobes, and where we're going to put this cam cradle on top of that holds all this together. So let's go ahead and get our rocker arm assembly on. Same thing with this, assembly lube it. Put enough assembly lube on there. So now we're ready for our camshaft cap. So let's go ahead and put it on. In fact, you know what? We're going to go ahead and put in our plugs so we don't drop any bolts down into here. And we are going to run the NGK performance plugs on here. It's going to give us a 0.13% horsepower gain. Not very much, but it's still better than stock. So, but they are very dependable plugs. Put a little bit of dielectric grease on the end of that. You can use the copper anti-seize into here, but with as much oil that fell down into it, I'm pretty sure that the threads are pretty old going into this head, and this engine's probably going to smoke a little bit whenever we crank it up because of the oil that fell down into the cylinders. You know, we blew most of it out as we could with our air gun, which made a big, really huge mess everywhere. Got it all over me. But we blew the cylinders out, so we shouldn't damage anything turning this engine over. Alright, so we got those in. We can throw our camshaft cap on. There we go. Alright, now, on this is going to have a torque sequence, and you will have... You will also have a torque spec that you got to go by on which bolt to do. So it's going to be the top middle, the bottom middle, top right, bottom right. There we go. And we are down. Now, before you would have put this on here, around the edges of this cradle, you would take some of that import gray, or Honda Bond is another word for it, and you would put it around the edge of this. That way you don't have any oil leaks whenever we get this thing put back together. Honda Bond is your friend, or import gray. So now we can put our rocker arm assembly up on top of here. I was mistaken, this was a camshaft below that, sorry. But we're going to go ahead and put our rocker arm assembly and put our rocker arm caps on. Now this is also going to need assembly lube where these metal to metal surfaces are touching, and we are going to go ahead and set the valve lash on here. Now these don't have valve lash down here, since this is automatically done with a cam phaser, but up here there is valve lash because you got rocker arms. Whenever they get out of spec, they start whooping up everything, and this is what causes failure. So go ahead and put some assembly lube on here. Put it down, and then we got our rocker arm caps. So we would want to start here in the center and work our way out. Everything's got a torque spec. Alright. We go out to here. I wish they actually had tools in here where you had to get like the correct sockets and torque wrenches, and man, that would be so cool if they had that in the next car mechanic simulator. Alright, now we went ahead and we got our gaskets in for the head covers. We also repainted them a metallic black, so they're going to be a lot more shiny, looking a lot better. Let's go ahead and get them onto here. Oh yeah, look at there. Man, that looks nice. Dark black. Looks really good. I don't understand this two-tone mess where you got it at the end of the rocker arm is one color, but the center of it is like a dark and nasty looking color. It don't look any good, but... Alright, so I'm assuming that was the torque specs on this valve cover. So we are ready for our brand new ignition coils. These are going to be an import direct line. Very good. They're OME ignition coils from O'Reilly's. They're just rebranded by import direct. So we are not running the performance ignition coils because those things are really expensive. But I did already have some in stock, so what am I going to do? Am I going to hook her up, or are we going to save that for one of... We're going to go ahead and run the regular ones. We don't want to spice things up too much. We're already running a performance clutch in the car. So we're just going to go in with the basic. They're still good. I mean, Import Direct is a very good part. These also have lifetime warranties on them. You buy them once and that's it. As long as you keep up with your information, you give them your name and your telephone number at O'Reilly's, they can keep up with all of that. So, keeps up with your warranty information, especially, ooh, we're going to have to order some new plugs here soon, because we're starting to get to the poo-poo plugs. So, alright. Way we don't drop any bolts down into there. And it's basically the same thing on this head as what we worked with on the other. So I'm going to fly through this and put it together. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up now. No, we ain't putting that garbage on here. What's going on with this? Let me take this back off. Now we're going to... 33%. What in the world is going on? Uh-oh. We're missing a rocker arm. We're going to have to call down there to O'Reilly's. I thought I may have ordered, maybe only ordered one, but let's see if we can fix this 33%. Nope. Alright, so here we go. We're just going to have to call up O'Reilly's right now. Let's see, and we're going to add that to our parts list. Let's pull up our tablet. Okay, rocker arm A. Alright, so we're going to put in a wheel call ticket for this. They should have it over here. Since it's only going to be one part, they should have it over here in about 10 or 15 minutes, considering they're just right across the street. So, while we're waiting on that part, we got to wait till we get that part before we can do anything else. I guess we could throw the exhaust manifold on and put the gaskets on there, but we're going to go ahead and wait. And while we are waiting on that... Okay, that was the last rotor. So while we're waiting on that, we're going to go ahead and put the back brakes back together on this car. That way we're making use of our time. Now, I thought about putting a set of slotted and drilled rotors on here, but, you know, we already got these. We are going to replace the brake pads. Anytime that you have the rotors turn on a vehicle, you want to make sure that you put new pads, because the old pads are going to have grooves cut into them, and what will happen is whenever you put those old pads on a resurfaced rotor, not 100% of the pad is touching the rotor, so that means you don't have 100% of stopping power until it cuts into the rotor or it wears out the pad, which the pads are going to cut into the rotor, so then you're going to have grooves in it again, which is going to make it chatter and shake. You know, that's the whole point of getting it resurfaced. So new pads on resurfaced rotors. And don't mix your pads up neither. Try to, you know, keep them with the same rotor and in the same position. Because if you put them on there backwards or mismatch them, the grooves that are already cut into place are not going to match. You're not going to have full braking power. So we are going in with our ceramic coated performance Brembo brakes. So let's go ahead and put that on there. These are single piston Brembos. They're OEM, but they're just better quality. There we go. We build Brembos here. Alright, well, we just, DrivenByChrist has got all types of fancy stuff that other automotive shops don't have. Alright. So, same thing with this side, new pads. We can't do anything with the old pads. We'll just recycle them. We got a guy that comes by here and picks up all of our recycled metal from our scrap bin, and we get credited. We get scrap credits for it, which can be used to beef up parts with, make them more valuable. I don't necessarily understand how that system works, but it works in here, so we're going to go with it. Alright. So, looking good. You know, it would probably look better with a set of slotted some slotted rotors on there, but let's see, 245s, the wide tires are going to go in the back. Go ahead and run them down. Now, whenever you put these brakes back together, you want to make sure you put brake grease on the sliders and put a new hardware kit into here. This is all, you can get all this with your Brake Best Selects from O'Reilly's. That's the best brakes that you can go with. Even though this car is going to recommend ceramics, I highly recommend getting the semi-metallic brake pads. The ceramics are going to last longer, but the thing is with ceramics, they will glaze over easier whenever you superheat them, especially stopping at over 100 miles per hour. You would rather have more stopping power, since this car's got ABS and it eat the rotors up, than you would, glazing over a pad and not having the braking power that you need. But anyways, get a new hardware kit and put the recommended amount of grease where it's supposed to go. That way the pads slide back and forth and you don't have pads rubbing up against the rotor, which is what glazes over the pads. And you got 100% stopping power. So that was another thing I needed to add. Brake Best Select ceramic, not ceramics, but the semi-metallic pads are going to be the best one for if you're going to be running a car and slamming on brakes and then getting back into it. Now, if you're just running a regular street cruiser, something you just daily driving, not really having to slam on brakes, ceramics will last the longest. Alright. There we go. So we got that on there. Yeah, that looks good. You can see them things from here. Alright, so Jamie just let me know that our parts come in from O'Reilly's. They got them dropped off back here on the table. So let's continue assembling this motor. Alright. Oh, remember, we got to set the valve lash on this stuff once we get it in here and get this, get these rocker arm caps put on here. But same thing as it was on the other side. Start from the center and work your way out. Make sure you back off the lash all the way. That way, whenever you're torquing this thing down, if something is not in the correct position, you don't bend anything. It's got a lot of slack into it, and then you can go ahead and tighten it up with a filler gauge, or with spec to a filler gauge, and re-torque everything. Alright, so we got all that into there. Now we're ready for our head cover. New gaskets. Same thing, you want to use your import gray where it's needed, like in between this cam cap and this cylinder head. It would have went right there. So there we go. Ignition coils. Port direct line. Now, she's immediately, I know this car probably hasn't had the power that it used to have in a long time, considering she had a failing fuel system going on. Once the engine's starved for fuel, it's not a good thing. I mean, you're going to drastically lose performance, because in these newer model cars, the computer can detect, okay, hey, we're running lean, let's pull timing or add timing to it and reduce our duty cycle and start backing off. So it literally kills your performance and backs off your performance. That way your car doesn't lean out. And we only use premium fuel filters here, and these are going to be your I think K&N makes fuel filters, and I know Walbro Racing does. So we'll slap a K&N on here. We don't have to go full blown race. Still going to be, either way, it's going to be red. So we got that on here. Good fuel pressure regulator. Now we're going to be working with our fuel rails. Now these are brand new injectors and rails with regulators. And we went ahead and opened up the regulator a little bit because I did some research, and the duty cycle on this fuel pump, you can crank out about another 20% on these rails, but without tuning, we only just let about 10% into there. the computer can take out enough timing and advance the spark enough to accommodate for 10%, but I think anything like over 15% is out of the tunable range of the computer, so then you would start leaning stuff out or running too rich and losing power. Alright, so go ahead and put them in there. A little bit of grease would go on the end of these injectors where these rubber boots go down in here. That way everything slides together real good and makes a good seal. You don't want to silicone this in, man. I've seen somebody silicone an injector in, and I was like, what in the world is going on here? But, not everybody is, people make mistakes, so sometimes it's funny to see them, but we're not going to put this manifold on here because it's going to be in our way. We're going to go ahead and put our timing cover back together. And this is going to be the long and tedious part because everything has got to be lined up to top dead center. All these cams are going to have a mark on it that matches with the head that you got to line everything up to. And these cam phasers, they only go on one way, so the way that you put them on is good. Now, considering these phasers are not on the cam, there's no way of locking down the cam on here. So you want to do these one at a time. Do this first one, put a screwdriver into it to lock it down, and then the other one will slide right into the gears where it's supposed to be. If not, then it's some tedious stuff you got to do, but it's not going to let me go into detail with this on the game. I'm just saying what you may be up against in real life. Alright, so we got that on there. Alright, we got that. Now we can put our timing chain on. Now it's going to have a master link that goes into this. Should be pretty tight automatically. Go ahead and wrap that around and put our master link in. And you want to take some assembly lube and squirt on this stuff too. Put it on the cam gears and on the chain, because none of this stuff is going to have oil going to it at first until that oil pump picks up oil from the bottom of the motor and starts distributing it where it needs to go. So make sure you put assembly lube on that. You don't want no metal to metal action going on. Alright, now we got our water pump. Since this is not a racing water pump, we do either go with import direct or Burt Racing water pumps. They are considered a racing style water pump that uses an OEM design, so same thing as manufactured, just has less throw and pitch on the blades, less restriction on water. Since we're not running a racing radiator or anything, we went in with our import direct water pump from O'Reilly's with the gasket set that goes with it. Just to be on the safe side, it wouldn't be a bad idea to put a little thin coat of import gray or Honda Bond on this, even with the gasket. Just extra assurance that this thing don't leak. Torque down to spec. Now we're ready for our main timing chain guide. So you see this one timing chain turns the big cam gear, and then there's another gear back behind this that turns the smaller one. So this one timing chain doesn't turn all four cams, it just turns these two bigger ones. So let's go ahead and get our timing chain on. Boy, that would be bad if this water pump locked up. It would eat that chain all to pieces. Now these are your guides. These are also what tensions the chain up. Make sure you put assembly lube on this, because that guide has to be fed with oil, that way the chain doesn't cut into it. Stuff starts getting really hot and building friction whenever you ain't got oil in the place. And then this final timing guide is going to put the correct amount of tension on the chain to make sure it does not come off. So this thing doesn't have a tensioner on there. I guess I found that out. The guide itself is the tensioner. So we're going to go ahead and put our cover on the front. Now remember, this is going to have import gray around the edges of it. That way no oil leaks out of here, because this whole cavity is filled or is sprayed with oil to keep everything lubricated. So we're going to go ahead and put that on. This also is going to come with a new thermostat and gasket. I'll show you where it is. We've already put it into there. Ooh boy, at the bolts. Alright, so there is a thermostat and gasket we ran with the OEM thermostat. Should open up at 190 degrees and allow the coolant to cycle through the motor and to your radiator and then close back up. So OEM stuff, import direct thermostat and thermostat gasket, we got all that. We already pre-assembled this before we put this cover on here. So now we got to put our cam phasers on here, which have to be pre-aligned with the camshafts at top dead center. And these are also going to have Honda Bond or import gray around them with their gaskets that go with it before installation. Alright. Now we're ready for our idler pulleys. Well, let's go ahead and put our oil pan on, because that's going to be the next thing that we got to put some Honda Bond or our import gray on. It's going to go around the mating surface where it hooks up to the timing case cover and around this oil pan, this block right here. So we're going to go ahead and put a little thin bead of that down. You ain't got to get thick with this stuff, because you don't want Honda Bond squirting out into the block where it can break off and be floating around down there with your crankshaft and connecting rods, and you don't want none of that. Just a little thin coat, that's all you need. Go ahead and put it on, torque down the spec. Alright, there we go. Rotate this up. Alright, so now we can go ahead and screw on our new oil filter. And then the rest of this is just going to be our drive belt assembly. We are going to go ahead and replace all these rollers, and Lord have mercy, look at here. So apparently I do need to order another set of rollers. We're going to go ahead and order a whole another box of them from O'Reilly's. So let's see, that's roller A. We're going to tag it, pull up our this. Okay. Alright, so normally in a box, they normally come in a box of 20. So we're going to go ahead and throw down that will call ticket and wait for them to get here. And let me check these other ones real quick. Let me make sure I got enough of these too. Okay, so we got enough of the rollers, but just in case, we're going to order another set. Alright, hit the O'Reilly menu. And we're going to get another 20 of these. There we go. Alright, so we got all of our rollers coming over here. We have enough to do this engine, but the other ones are going to be in later on. Whenever they get here, we're going to go ahead and put what we got onto there. Alright. There we go. And we still have our original alternator from earlier. We was able to rebuild it and service it, so it's at 100%. It's just like a brand new alternator. Alright, same thing with the power steering pump. And we do not have an extra one of these in stock, so I don't know how much these cost, but I think the alternators are pretty universal. I think this is a specific, no, it's an I4 inline 4B style water pump that they're using on this V6. So let me tag it. We'll go ahead and put in a call for it. We'll keep about 5 of them in stock and go ahead and order it. So remember guys, during this business, you're also investing in the parts. That way you're not constantly having to stop and order stuff like what I'm doing, as it can slow you down in the middle of a project. Alright, and I know we ordered this crankshaft. Yep, there it is, because I don't normally keep these in stock. But as soon as we get enough money where we can start investing into every part, we're going to do that. Now, on this right here, this is where you're going to need Big Bertha torque wrench out. This is probably, from what I looked at, this thing is actually torqued down to 130 foot-pounds of torque. So you need to make sure your torque wrench can go up that high. Most of them go up to 200 foot-pounds or 180, just make sure. It's going to have a keyway that lines this up. You line it up with the keyway, put it on, and what you want to do is torque down to about 70 foot-pounds and then go up to the final torque. Alright, so we got that on, and I remember ordering the belt kit for it. This is their Master Pro belt series, and no, we did not. Okay, so we are going to have to wait on this one. Rally menu, and we need one. Alright, so we are going to have to wait for this belt to come in, because we do not have any of these extra in stock. So before I start really just dumping money into parts, I kind of want to, we ain't seen too many 350Zs, so it's not something, if it's a universal part that can be used on many different engines, I would recommend, you know, getting like 4 of them or 3, you know, so you ain't got to order it. So we got to wait on that for Mo Rallies. While we're waiting, we're going to go ahead and put our exhaust manifolds on and our gaskets that go in between here. We was able to clean these out and scrape off the old tore up gasket material and clean the threads up on all this stuff, so this is at 100%. Alright, we'll do the other side. Alright, there we go. So, while we are waiting on this belt to come in, I guess we could. I was going to go over there and start putting suspension components back on the car, but I would like to have a little bit of work room without all the clutter of stuff. That way, if we got to lets us get the motor mount bolts easier. The more things that are out of the way, the better off it is. We was able to service this intake manifold, pull it apart, clean all the EGR valve soot and oil out of the intake, and got everything polished up, so it's flowing at 100% now. And this actually splits in half. You can see where it splits right here, and bolts hold it together. We put some import gray into here to make sure that this sealed off really good whenever we put it back together, because you don't want any leaks in the intake manifold. If it gets a vacuum leak, this thing's going to be idle and all types of crazy. And we also cleaned out the throttle body. I have a little machine, a tool that you can get the harnesses. It comes with a whole bunch of pigtails to plug up to just about any throttle body, and it allows you to add 12 volts to the system where you can open this throttle body. You never want to reach in and grab a drive-by-wire throttle body and force it open to clean it. I mean, it can tear up these little electric actuator motors, and these things are extremely expensive. Like, they're over $100 easily. Most of them are anywhere from $200 to $300 a piece, and this car has 2 of them. So in real life, make sure you either know where to add the 12 volts to make the throttle body open and close, or most of the time what I do is I just take the throttle body off in the car, leave it plugged up, turn the ignition in the run position, but don't crank the car up with the throttle body off of it, and then get somebody to step on the gas pedal, and it automatically opens it up and you can clean it out that way. But we got a little nifty hand tool that does all this. So we put it back on there, cleaned it up, and put the brand new gaskets on. Alright, got this one, same thing for this one. Alright, so I think I hear O'Reilly's in there with Jamie right now. They're probably dropping off our belts. So let's go over here and see what else we got to add to this car before we drop the engine into here. Alright, okay, so that ain't going to be a big deal. Let's see what all can be added into here before we put the motor in that's going to get in the way. I think for the most part of it, everything is gonna need to pretty much stay out of the way until we get this engine here. I guess we could go ahead and throw our new sway bar in. Shouldn't be in the way, but then again, that's gonna get in the way of us getting in here to get to these motor mounts. So Nope. And yep, that's what I thought. The belt is in. Jamie just went out there and put it on the table for me. So let's get our engine hoist over here and get ready to put this motor in. Move to round one. Alright. So we're going to wheel our engine stand over here and get it hooked up to the cherry picker or the engine hoist, and we'll go ahead and install this motor after we put our belt on. Alright. The belt series that we're using for Mo Rallies is a Gates series. They offer them in Master Pro and Gates. I highly recommend, if they offer anything in Gates, we run Gates belts. Those are some of the best belts that I've ever used. That's what I use on all my Honda race motors, is Gates RPM series belts, and most of the time they're this bluish color. Same thing with our tensioner. This is a Gates tensioner, so they offer those at O'Reilly's, so we're going to use that. Put it on there. Alright. Torque it down to spec, and there's a little tool that goes in there. You can hold the tension off while you slip this belt over it, and we are ready to go. This engine is ready to be installed. So let's go ahead and get our engine. We'll roll this thing on over there and get it on, but this game is kind of weird on how it does stuff. So alright, so we're gonna pull this thing over here behind us and get it hooked up and get the engine installed, and I will be back with y'all as soon as we get it in there. Alright, so we got the engine stand put back up over there, and we just installed the motor. We got everything bolted down, our motor mounts tightened up to spec. We went ahead and replaced our motor mounts while we had it out. The game does not illustrate motor mounts on here, but anytime you pull an engine out, replace the motor mounts while you got it out. But then again, if you don't have the money to replace the motor mounts, and if they're not broken, hey, like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if you can reuse them, reuse them. But if you done went through the trouble of pulling an engine out of the car and you got broken mounts, you better replace them then, because it's a lot easier. So we don't need this no more. We can put this thing back up. Boom, that thing, whoo boy, that thing's fast, son. It just gets out of here. So now we got our engine in. So we got technically we do have our clutch kit in. We'll put the transmission and the exhaust in last. We're gonna go ahead and start adding all the other stuff in the engine bay while we're, wait a minute now, hold up. We got bad bushings down here. I don't even know how we missed this. It would have been a lot easier to replace whenever the motor was out of here, but let's go ahead and pull these bushings out. And what we're going to do is we're just going to replace them one at a time. That way we don't have to drop the whole subframe. We'll just move around on them. These things are pretty easy. You just pull the bolts out, and sometimes you got to beat them out of there, but most of the time they just fall out if they're already worn out. It's the new ones you kind of have to tap into place so they'll stay. We always keep these bushings in stock. Boy, we go through bushings like there ain't no tomorrow. We're going to use a polyurethane bushing here. Black polyurethane. I ain't going to go with no red or blue or anything like that. We're just using some regular ones, but it's still polyurethane. We'll go ahead and put our sway bar end link in once we get this car up. There we go. Alright, now we're ready to install the sway bar and the rest of the stuff. We can go ahead and do our suspension work while we're down here, but I guess we can't do that because we haven't built it yet. So now we got to go over here to our wonderful suspension tool and go ahead and put together our shock A absorbers with spring and caps. So we want to join parts. And remember, it was a shock A, front shock A absorber. for the 350Z. Take it off. Join parts. Alright, so we got both of them built. We are ready to go on, and we'll just build a side at a time. Alright, so in real life, normally you would hang your shock absorber first. That way you can actually put the steering knuckle onto it. That way it's just not just dangling in the air. Okay, so right here, this is how you would do it. So this would be put in first, then you can put your knuckle. And then what I would do from here is go ahead and put in your lower control arm. Replace all the bushings while you're doing this. We don't want to use any old bushings. We're going to upgrade it to some polyurethane. It's going to make it a little bit rougher on the ride, but they will last a whole lot longer. And since this is a performance car, we already know people are going to be running this car pretty hard. So we want it to last. We're not going to put the outer tie rod in because we want to be able to move this around, make it easier to put in components. We'll put our sway bar end link in. There we go. Dust shield for the brakes. Now we're going to need our bearing tool where it squeezes this hub and bearing together. So what it will do is it presses this in, then you want to use, or actually this bolts in, and then we got a tool that presses in the bearing. Brand new bearings. Anytime that you pull these bearings, do not reuse the old ones. In most cases, you can't reuse the old ones because they get tore up whenever you press them out. Put in our new bearing cap. Oh, we got to get some more of those too. Let's go ahead and add that to the part. Now these are universal. They're used on most cars, so normally whenever I get stuff, I get about 20 of them. You can do 10. That's, you know, that's up to you whether you want parts on hand. Alright, new set of brakes for up front. Same set of brakes we went with the back. Brake Best Select Semi-Metallics with brake grease. Make sure you get a new hardware kit and brake grease. Very important. And our wonderful ceramic coated Brembo brakes, our brake calipers. Alright, make sure, I think that is all the suspension, and then we can go ahead and put this outer tie rod in. Ooh, we are running out of tie rods too. Man, it looks like it's going to be ordering day for parts. Pull out this tablet again. Another 20 of them. There we go. Thank God this is like a super hub warehouse. They got a ton of these parts in. Alright, so we got that on there. We're not ready to put the wheel on because we may need to get, makes it easier getting to other stuff in the engine bay just in case we got to. Like I said, you would actually put the strut in first before you would, the knuckle would just hang in thin air. There we go. Sway bar end link. Go ahead and put in our lower control arm and ball joint with new bushings. And since this is a refurbished control arm, it does have a new ball joint in there. You definitely don't want them to break. And watch it right there. I see one of these 1-star brake caliper dust shields or front knuckle cover. You make sure you don't put your good parts on a customer vehicle. You want to save those for yours because it increases the resale value, because we're also going to be, once we get enough money, we're going to be building cars and selling them because eventually we're going to run out of story orders to do. So we got that on there. Front wheel hub, it bolts in, and then our wheel bearing. Of course, you would have to use the tool to press that in. Alright. Get our last set of brake pads out of this box, put the grease on it where it needs to go, and our Brembo brake caliper. There we go. Kind of look around, see if anything's glowing on suspension, like this outer tie rod that I would have forgot. Alright, got that on there, and Now we are ready for tires to go on. Because we're just going to be working up underneath the hood now, besides doing the transmission. And you know what? While we got this car up, we're going to go ahead and wheel our transmission over here. But we got to install our clutch kit. So we got a brand new pressure plate. It's going to increase power up to 1.75%. We are going to do a dyno run with this vehicle to show proven horsepower results that we did not only return the factory horsepower, but we exceeded factory horsepower. So there we go. This clutch should be able to handle any abuse that this stock motor is going to throw out. Alright. We're going to reuse her pressure plate. It's still 91%, so we resurfaced the pressure plate. We got our brake surfacer over there can do flywheels, pressure plates, any type of resurfacing it can do. So we went ahead and resurfaced the pressure plate, that way it doesn't, and the flywheel, that way it didn't ruin, you know, the clutch face. Alright, clutch release bearing. I think we bought a new one of those. Yep, because I see the old destroyed one. And that is it. Now we are ready to bring our transmission up here and stab it in. And if you use the alignment tool that come with the clutch kit, this should be a fairly easy job. But if you did not and you just tried to finger the clutch in there, this transmission is not going to go in. You have to use that alignment tool. So let's go. Oh, we had a whole brand new gearbox. We got a 3-star racing gearbox for, well, it's not a racing one, but it is a high quality, built with Dana Spicer gears and you name it. It's got the best of it, but we're going to put a regular one back in because that's going to be for, you know, possibly a 350Z build for us in the future. Not very many bolts holding that transmission in, but okay. Alright, we'll go ahead and put our rebuilt drive shaft in. It's been balanced and it's got new universal joints in it. So no vibrations from this thing. There we go. And we can go ahead and put our downpipes in. And we can put our catalytic converters in, which they were still in good condition, 95 and 86%. 86% flow, so they're not stopped up or anything to worry about. If it was me, I'd be doing a cat delete. Them things would be gone. See if they flow then. Alright. I don't know what state we're in. We're in Louisiana, that's what I'm saying. But they don't care about cats here. That's whenever you gotta go to like poo-poo states that always want to harass you about the cars, like California and stuff like that. They wasn't very nice to me whenever I went to California, whenever I was a truck driver, and it just always stuck with me. I've never even wanted to go back. Now, it's beautiful scenery over there, but I just never wanted to go back because of how horrible they treated me whenever I drove trucks there. It was like, you know, they just hated truck drivers. I didn't do anything to them, but I can't speak for the other truck drivers, so I never know what happened before I got there. But boy, do we got some stuff to put into here. So we're going to go ahead and run our electronics on the engine and get the wiring harness plugged in and get our computer put into here. 91%, that's hers. We are going to tune that up to 100%, but it's at a 91% output, so we're going to take it into the dyno bay and open it all the way up. There we go, we got that in, and the rest of this stuff we'll put our breather box in. Actually, no, because that's going to be in the way. We're going to slide this radiator in and put our cooling fan assembly on. There we go. And there we go. We put a brand new motor into this cooling fan assembly, so we don't have to worry about that failing. We had a few extra ones, so we hooked her up on that. And now we are ready for the air breather box. Let's see, we was able to recondition it too. There we go, and we only run the K&N air filters on here, so that's all we use. We don't use the factory ones. And our cover, and our wonderful clips that we paid $1 for to fix. No, they didn't. They just sent us a bag of new ones. I hate these things. They're so annoying, I can barely see them. And if you got your sensitivity turned up on your controller, you can almost expect you're going to miss it every time you try to get this little dot onto there. But in real life, they're easy. You just snap them on and you're done with it. There we go. Alright. So we got our air breather box, and we went ahead and hooked up our intake air tubing that goes from our breather box to our throttle body. We got all of it on, even though it's not showing it in here, but it's there. And, ooh, we forgot to, come on now. We forgot to vac out this. Come on, why is this thing being a pain right now? We forgot to drain this. We're going to go ahead and suck out all the old wash fluid. And now we are ready for fluids. Once we get the remaining parts into here, we got to put our coolant reservoir in, which is going to be over here. Power steering reservoir. Now, you can't fix reservoirs, so you got to go back in with the existing one. We'll put our master cylinder in. Now, remember, we got our brake bleeder valves open on all the brakes with our little 1 liter Coke bottles with rubber hoses on there. That way, whenever we go to pressurize this brake system and gravity bleed it, we don't got brake fluid going all over the ground. We can put in our ABS modulator and controller. Okay. Yeah, that's right. It did let us rebuild this. Alright. There we go. We're not ready for a battery yet. We don't want anything getting power to it just yet. Alright, so we got that into there. And now we are ready for fluid. Now this is going to take a little while, so we're going to go ahead and add our brake fluid. Go ahead and fill it. There would actually be a funnel into here, and you would fill it up quite a bit and then suck out what else you didn't need in the gravity bleed. But we're going to make sure we... Oh, probably got a little bit of a mess on the floor. Probably got on the exhaust manifold, so expect that to smoke. Shouldn't catch on fire, but you know how that is. Alright, now we're gonna put coolant into the motor. Now this would be Asian blue for Nissan. You wouldn't actually run a green into here. It would be called Asian blue. There we go. And let's put our Rain-X wash fluid in. And servicing the wash fluid, we would also changed out our wiper blades to a hybrid. We use the Rain-X hybrid. You can get these at O'Reilly's too. They're the ones that have like the little spoiler that's built on the blade that uses the wind as you're going down the road. It forces the blade up against the windshield. That way you get a better wipe, and it gets most of the water off of the windshield. If you use a regular conventional blade that does not have the spoiler on it, you know, you get a good wipe out of it, but they're cheaper, but they just tend to wear out quicker, and you may have some streaks in your wipe. So, you know, if you're not really picky about wiper blades, then hey, run the cheap ones, but I like the hybrid blades. I want, whenever that blade that comes by, I want it to fully get the water off of the windshield, especially down here in Louisiana, dude. It's like a monsoon over here. But anyways, let's go ahead and add our engine oil, which, since this is still, it's not necessarily going to be breaking in, but we do have new camshafts and stuff like that, so we are going to be running a high zinc break-in oil. We're We're going to be running some of that Castrol synthetic 5W20 GTX. We don't have to use high mileage because this is not a high mileage motor, but make sure you get a bottle of Hyperlube that has zinc additive, or they also have it from Lucas, and it's called Hyperlube from Lucas, and it has zinc. That helps a lot with metal to metal surfaces, like especially on high lift duration cams, old flat tappet hot rod motors. That's what you would want to use. So, and then whenever the bottle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it. That should be pretty close. There we go. It's not, you don't have to get it all the way up to max, but uh-oh, my camera battery's letting me know I only got 5 more minutes left. Daggum, we just got this thing back together enough where we'll go ahead and throw in our battery now. We are ready for that, and we will close off our brake bleeder valves. And the next thing that we got to do on the order for this car before my battery runs out for this episode, we have to align the car. We're going to go ahead and put it on the dyno and get all of our paperwork together, re-diagnose the vehicle, make sure everything checks out. She said she wanted an alignment done, and we're going to go ahead and run it on the dyno, and then we're going to take it down there to the test track and make sure the car performs and drives like it's supposed to, and we will give her a call up. So I got to throw a battery on real quick, and I think I actually got another battery charged up. I just got to swap the batteries out. So I will catch y'all on part 3 of Jessica's 350Z. I'll catch y'all later, guys. Bye.